Before I officially begin, I would like to thank all of you for being here today and allowing me to talk about something that is very near and dear to my heart. Some of this is a deep dive into my own personal journey, and a lot of it deals with some pretty emotionally heavy stuff, so that's just a content warning for anybody that is here. But I promise the message here is positive, and I hope you all take something away from it. So, without further ado, I've been captivated by TTRPGs for most of my life. And we are all drawn to them for different reasons, and of course that makes sense. The hobby offers real benefits from building social skills and supporting mental health and your emotional well-being. At the center of most of those systems is the game master, the person who brings the world to life and keeps the game moving. And at least from the player's point of view, they're somebody who is like an omnipotent god that has their character's fate in their hands. That role can be intimidating, intimidating enough that some industry leaders have explored ways of removing the game master altogether and replacing them with AI. I think that this is a serious... Oh, please, no. Let them hear it. Thank you. There we go. I think that this is a huge misstep. The magic of TTRPGs lives in the human element, the creativity, empathy, spontaneity, and connection that no algorithm can replace. I would drop the mic, but I don't know how expensive it is. So part of what I want to do today is push back on a common misconception that you need that to be a game master, you need to be a world-class writer, a voice actor, a game designer, or an improvisational genius. To be a dungeon master or a game master, you need to know yourself, you need to be able to lead your party, and you need to make your preparation count. I see that we had some people come in. There's plenty of seats spread around. If anything, we'll make room. Everybody is welcome. Before I continue, by show of hands, how many people here are actively game masters or dungeon masters? Awesome. How many people want to become a game master or a dungeon master? Woo! Nice, healthy crowd. Before I continue, I think this is important for me to be upfront that I am not an industry expert. I'm not a well-known tabletop gamer, nor am I a self-made entrepreneur. What I'm discussing today is not some ancient wisdom that has been passed down from generations upon generations of game masters, and I don't have all the answers. But honestly, that's okay. What I do have is a deep passion for helping people become the best version of themselves and helping them find the confidence they need to feel that they can lead, connect, and make an impact not just at their table, but beyond it too. So without further ado, hello, my name is Jonathan Trombino, and like many of you, I'm a big old nerd. Nerd. Yeah. Nerd. And at one point in my life, I thought that my path was going to be an actor and a movie director. So I went to school for theater and later became very discouraged. So I switched my major to history. But that didn't quite pan out because around the fourth year, or the start of the fourth year of my college life, I entered into a very questionable relationship situation. So that didn't happen. But once that chapter had closed, I found myself in Florida, 900 miles away from home, and I found myself in the hospitality industry, where I spent nearly a decade in various leadership roles, and this is where I discovered my passion for adult development, and for a long time I thought that this is my career. Then a little thing called 2020 happened. I don't know if anybody remembers it. What a blur. I found myself furloughed and between jobs and trying to figure out what direction I wanted to take next. Later that year, I stumbled across a posting to be a paid dungeon master for a company in New York that ran a virtual after-school program for children where D&D and Minecraft were used as a medium to bring them together and to help them learn social skills. And I had been a DM for a few years. I had run several home games, so I thought, why not? So I applied, and I got the job. And between my assigned groups and the games that I ran at home with friends, I ran over 300 sessions of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition in 12 months. Yeah. I really threw myself into it. I was consuming content daily, and I was trying to perfect my craft. But I also made the mistake of comparing myself to more visible TTRPG personalities. That mindset was not sustainable at all. And by my time there, I found myself deeply burnt out and more depressed than usual. Thankfully, with some help and a lot of introspection, I was able to recover and reconnect with what made me love this hobby in the first place. So I'm just saying, we gon' vibe a little bit now. The heavy stuff is out of the way. And a lot of that is what I want to talk about today. So I want to share what I've learned running games both privately and professionally, grounded in my leadership experience, to help you feel more confident running your own games at home. And to do this, I want to start by talking about why we are drawn to TTRPGs and the role of the Dungeon Master or the Game Master. I'm going to use Game Master, and I will occasionally slip up because I'm so used to saying Dungeon Master, especially because it's on my shirt, so I'm sorry. Next, I want to try and demystify the role that the Game Master has and to encourage new potential people feel more likely to take up the role, but also to reframe it for those who have an established opinion of the GM and give you a different perspective. I also want to talk about what I call the Game Master pillars of success, pillars of prosperity, which are three competencies that I believe will set you up for the most success. And afterwards, by the way, this is free. I want to give you all a toolkit based on today's presentation so that you can use this at your home game. So that was the heavy stuff out of the way. Can we get a round of applause? Are you all ready? Yeah. All right. All right. So let's talk about number one. Also, I see more people coming in. If you got spare seats, move in, get to know each other. It's all good. We all fit. You have the right idea. On the floor. Yeah. Bring them in. We got 2 seats right there, 2. Awesome. So let's start with the number one thing that I would like to talk about is why the hell we played TTRPGs. I also apologize. I'm from New Jersey. I will occasionally slip an F word in there, and I'm sorry. It's going to happen. And what is the Game Master anyway? Before I really get into that, I want to talk to you about a concept that I was introduced to when I was in the hospitality industry, and that is the concept of the 5 human truths. These were done by a think tank that the hotel company I work for hired to figure out how exactly they could make the most meaningful experiences for their guests. And they came up with this, the 5 human truths, which are 5 fundamentally true things that we all need in life. And you'll see at the bottom there is a purple text where this kind of crosses over with the TTRPG hobby. So the number one thing is that we want to be understood in our emotions and our perspectives. That's how my character would see it. The second thing is that we want to belong. We want to feel a sense of comfort and connection. You're all adventuring together. What's your guild name? The third thing is that we want to feel special. We want to stand out from a crowd. Like, can't get more special than being an epic fantasy hero. I hear that. Or sci-fi, or whatever TTRPG you're playing. We want to have a sense of control over our lives, choice, autonomy. You control the characters. You're like, I want to do this, and you damn well will, so long as you roll good. And the fifth thing is that you want to reach your potential, or we want to reach our potential. Be the absolute best version of ourselves. Y'all level up. So now with the 5 human truths, let's talk about TTRPGs. They're appealing because, as you can see, there is an overlap with those 5 human truths. TTRPGs combined choice, competency, and connection. These are all elements of what's called self-determination theory, which means that humans will will be more likely to volunteer for something so long as they feel those things. Players during these games will plan, problem solve, and they take perspectives that aren't their own, and they express identity through play in a safe environment. They're emotionally enriching, they reduce stress, and they help foster creativity. So for these reasons, tabletop role-playing games have been utilized in therapeutic and social programs like the one that I worked for in New York. The best story that I have for this was a kid, it was the first session that I played with them, and this kid was trying to negotiate with a shopkeeper to get his warship outfitted with 7 ballista and did not want to pay full price. The dungeon master they had before me was very liberal with the amount of money and options he gave them, and these are 8-year-olds, so they took it. And to them, tabletop RPGs were something that they could win. So they thought, we roll the dice, and if we get that critical success, we win. So without me prompting him, he rolled his D20, and he got a natural 20 on his charisma check that I didn't ask for to try and persuade the shopkeep to do the thing that he wanted to do. And he was like, all right, so we get it done. And I'm like, nah. The shopkeep looks at you, he puts his hand on your shoulder, and he laughs heartily, and he goes, man, you're funny, and I really like you. And he goes, but I got a natural 20. I was like, well, you got a natural 20. He is a business owner. He has 16 kids and an entire workforce that is working on your warship that he needs to pay. There is absolutely no way he would do this service at 90% discounted. And that kid learned from that exchange that this is not a video game where you can, not to throw shade on this particular one, where you can throw a bucket on an NPC's head, steal everything in their shop, and then sell it back to them. There are real elements that connect with people when you play TTRPGs. And that brings me to the Game Master. I had mentioned earlier that the role of the Game Master is very intimidating to new players, and if show of hands, how many people have not actually tried it because they were afraid they couldn't? I see a few hands, and I see you, I hear you. You have the Game Master, or the Dungeon Master, or the Lore Master, or the Architect, or the Keeper, or the Marshal, the Warden, the Cabin Master, the Master of Ceremonies, my favorite, the Tall Person, or the Narrator, or, if you love Monty Python, the Head of Light Entertainment. All of these names, all of these titles are warranted because, what is the Game Master? The Game Master has a lot of responsibility. They are the facilitator of the game and the perceived deity that overarches everything, much like the Great Wizard of Oz. You're just this giant looming head with fire all around you. But I hate to break it to you all, but the Dungeon Master more is like the actual Wizard of Oz, where you're just a dude behind the curtain trying to make the entire illusion work. So it's no wonder that something like this would be intimidating to new players, particularly, or even for those of us who are more experienced Dungeon Masters to look at those who are more prominent in the hobby and say and to feel a sense of anxiety. Now, before I continue, it is definitely warranted that I should acknowledge that GM-less TTRPGs exist, and they are still valid. I play a few of them myself, and they provide meaningful experiences by distributing that storytelling and shared responsibility. But if you're here, obviously, it's because you want to talk about not those things, and learn more about the GM role specifically and deepen your understanding of it. But because the role is intimidating to a lot of folks, this is where it's going to get very topical, folks. There have been some who have said that, let's remove that factor and open the barrier to entry for TTRPGs by introducing AI Dungeon Masters. Oh, I'll get there. The next slide is admittedly my favorite. So let's have a discussion about what AI is. AI is not intelligent in the human sense. It does not understand meaning, intention, or context. It predicts language based on probability. It's great for things like building tables and generating things like that, or if you want to run a simulation 1,000 times, it's good for that. But for that reason alone, for a hobby that is loved because of mutual collaboration and understanding, we can see that. I love how all of us in this room collectively have more brain cells than certain CEOs that I just mentioned, who claims to be a dungeon master above all else, but great. But for those reasons alone, AI is a poor substitute for a human for a human game master. And also because of the algorithms, and it doesn't know what it's taught, sometimes it's just plain wrong. I'm sorry I made you all look at that a lot longer than I intended, but yeah, sometimes it is just wrong. So let's start with this. I want you all to learn some of the things that I did through my journey, and that is to cultivate a positive mindset and cultivate your own peace. I think that the best place to start is with you. Whether you decide after this to be a game master or not, please take this message and run with it. First, focus on what is in front of you, not behind. You see mistakes as growth rather than as a burden. And, you're going to make them. Learn to live with them. It's okay. We're all human. Mistakes are a part of it. Don't compare yourself to others. It's what got me in that really bad spot that I mentioned earlier. Make sure that you stay healthy and hopeful, whatever that is to you. Keep a clean space, helps in your head and in your home. And decide how much worry is reasonable so that you break the habit of worrying. And by that I mean, if I'm making a mountain out of a molehill of this panel that I needed to run today, how much reasonably should I worry about it? I know what I'm talking about, and are they going to like me? I don't know, but it's fine. We're vibing, we're here. And don't allow your emotions to overtake your rational thought. So this is free therapy, by the way. What cost me thousands of dollars is you guys are getting for free. You stop, and whatever it is that you are feeling overtake yourself, just stop. Pause and reflect. Challenge any assumptions that you may have had. Is this the thing that's really happening? It could actually be this thing. And then choose how you respond from there. Also, if you find yourself disheartened or in an emotionally compromising situation, my therapist always taught me, HALT. If you don't know what that is, it stands for hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. It's the 4 common things that you feel when you start to get in a moody situation. So if you're hungry, go eat something. If you're angry, take a walk, relax, calm down, detach from whatever it is that is angering you. If you feel lonely, call a friend, attend this panel. And if you're tired, take a nap, which I will be doing at 5:01. So we know how to cultivate a mindset, and I want to talk to you about the GM Pillars of Prosperity, but I cannot stress how foundational that is for you all. You're all wonderful people, and you deserve to exist, and don't let anybody tell you differently. And don't let yourself tell you things, especially that one. So let's start with the GM Pillars of Prosperity. There are 3 that are all foundational. They're all important, and I think that this is a universal concept, regardless of tabletop system that you decide to play. Number one is self-awareness. Knowing yourself inside and out, knowing what you like, what your emotional triggers are, your values. It helps when you're running the game. Trust me, it sounds weird, but I promise I will get to it. The second thing is learning how to lead your table. The GM to me is more than just a manager of the game. The players look to you for a lot. And again, I will dive very deep into that. And the last thing is impactful preparation and play. Making your games connect with your players in a meaningful way. So, if y'all don't know me, I'm letting you know, there's always an Avatar reference in anything I do. So, who are you and what do you... I know, pour one out for Iroh, y'all. Who here is familiar with Sun Tzu's The Art of War? Just out of curiosity. Ooh, quite a bit. I like this. Yeah, you know, it's fine. Sun Tzu said that if you know yourself and you know your enemy, you need not fear the result of 100 battles, but if you know neither yourself nor the enemy, you will succumb in every fight. Now, in this particular case, I want to stress that the Dungeon Master is not the enemy of the players, nor are they the enemy of the GM. The enemy that we're talking about here, and particularly pertaining to that quote, are the obstacles that stand in your way of being the best version of yourself. And knowing yourself is foundational, and we established how one can maintain a positive mindset, but in this section we're going to do the deep dive of what we like and what we want to run. So again, I stress, play what you like. You know, start with what do you like, what do you dislike about TTRPGs, or genres of things that you would like to play. Talk about what are your emotional triggers, what are your boundaries, your limits, the things that you yourself know you would not have a part of your game. What are your learning and communication styles? I cannot tell you how often I have struggled to break into another TTRPG system because I cannot find a freaking video that I like on YouTube that instructs me how to play it. Can I get an amen? But learning, knowing what your learning style is will help you along your journey. And then, of course, what do you like most about TTRPGs? What kind of game would you enjoy running? Does it have political intrigue? Does it have big battles? For me, it's yes. What kind, or what excites you the most about the hobby? And don't be afraid to take risks and try new things. You know, it is with the positive outlook that you're supposed to have. You know, you accept that you're going to make mistakes, and it's a part of your journey. Take something that seems interesting to you, run with it. I promise, as long as you're excited, your players will be too. And remember that the hypothetical table that we're all sitting at to play one of these games runs underneath that arbitrary dividing line of the Dungeon Master screen. You are just as much a player at that table as everybody else. So, and you have a different toolkit for expressing it. Have fun. Number one, you should enjoy running the game because, my God, it's very entertaining. And again, another reason why I really don't like the idea of an AI GM is you're removing a player from it. It's one less friend that you get to sit down at a table with every week or every 2 weeks or every month or however often you play. It kind of sucks. But again, keeping it light, have fun. So we're all good on that one, right? Cool. Pillar 2. You need to learn how to lead your table. You know, building up your players through, and your community through empathy-driven actions. And what do I mean by that? Uh-oh. Did we lose internet? Did it freeze? Something happened. It's all good. There we go. Number 1, creating a safe environment. So I think it's important as a game master because you're somebody that the players are going to look to, that you discuss what should and should not be a part of your campaign. using hard lines, veils, safety tools. I will talk about them at a later section, more in depth. But as a dungeon master, you defend these. You're supposed to be you're running the game. Whatever your players says they're okay with, cool. Whatever they're not, hard stop. And allow your players' participation and collaboration to be worked into your campaign. I have a quote there which might not make sense to most of you. There was an NPC that was created that I had no intention of having him become an NPC. Our wizard, I had given our wizard the headband of intelligence, and I didn't realize that he had an 18 for his intellect or his intelligence score, and that the headband was effectively useless for him. So our druid walked out of the woods with a moose. Yeah, I hear yeah. And I was just like, yeah, you could sell it, you could. And then he was like, yeah, I just came back with it. And then he goes, I put the headband on the moose. The moose gained sentience because his intelligence went from 3 to 19. His name was Joffrey, and he ended up being a very big part of that story. Let your players be a part of what it is that you're doing. And listen to your players, make them feel valued. I have one player that floats in and out whenever they can play, and every time they say, I'm not able to make it, I say, well, we'll miss you. And then whenever they are able to play, I say, I'm happy that you're here. And it's true. This is genuine. Like, I'm happy to see them, and I'm sorry that they're not there. Make them feel that they are valued at your table. And it is going to happen, that there's going to be some sort of conflict, whether it's somebody demonstrates a negative behavior that needs to be addressed, or you do something that makes somebody uncomfortable through gameplay. But knowing when to take breaks during your games, where to have discussions, and of course always reinforce your positivity and seek to understand their point of view through questioning. And when I say questioning, I'm not saying interrogating them. I'm saying being specific at at identifying what the negative behaviors are and focusing on them rather than on the person. Using very specific phrasing like, well, when you said this, I felt this. When you did this, I noticed that you did this. And when you explained this, I saw this. The second thing when it comes to leading your table is providing and being open to feedback from your players. Maintaining that open door, and encourage your players to discuss things with you before or after your sessions, unless an issue occurs that needs to be addressed right there at the table. It's just like, hey, let's take a second, let's talk about this. Let your players approach you regarding concerns and feedbacks or changes that they would like to make. And allow your players to share their input and solutions before you start proposing your own. Again, listen first, reiterate whatever goals there are in the conversation, and then reinforce their potential. I can't tell you how many private conversations I've had with players that have always just felt as though they're not doing well, and I'm like, listen, it's a complicated game. I'm not even pretending that it's not. You will get this. You will be fine, and we enjoy having you here. No game master gets it right all the time. Accepting feedback, positive or negative, builds trust with your players, and it strengthens those relationships and improves your game and expands your own skill set. And when I talk about building up your players, I genuinely mean this, not even just as characters. So tailor your narrative to be centered on them and make sure that their involvement makes a difference. If I have Star Wars fans, this next quote is going to hurt, and I'm sorry. Make sure their involvement makes a difference so you don't end up with that. Well, I'm sorry you guys went through an entire arc, but somehow this happened. Or my favorite, if anybody was a Big Bang Theory fan, when Sheldon, yeah, I know, same. But I'll tell you, it's one of my favorite scenes is where Sheldon shows his girlfriend, Amy, Raiders of the Lost Ark. And at the end, he's like, so what did you think? It's like the perfect movie. And she goes, except for the glooming plot hole that Indiana Jones's involvement would not have changed the outcome of the Nazis finding the Ark and dying. And I was like, well, yeah, that ruined Indiana Jones for me too. So make sure your players' involvement makes a difference. And as you run your game, strive not to hard counter your character's abilities. Remember, we're not their enemy unless you have good reason. I had this character once who was a sorcerer. And I had been very upfront with my game master. I am going full caster. I'm leveling up 1 to 20 in this. And I'll never forget, a few encounters later, we encountered some bandits on the road that had rings that nullified magic. Not resisted it, nullified it. So as I was trying to frustratingly fight these bandits with a stick and my -1 strength modifier, I was contemplating a lot about my place in the game, and I vowed that I would never make one of my players feel that way ever again.
I might have screwed up on this less than 3 weeks ago.
And guess what? It was something that you recognized. It was something that you learn from. It's something that you grow from, right? We'll talk about it. We can have story time later. Don't stifle their chances to feel competent in the game that they are running. Build encounters around their skill set, but something that's enough to challenge them. If they don't want an easy cakewalk, then they'll lose interest. Give them challenge, but make them feel great about what it is that they're doing. Like, there's nothing better than succeeding that high difficulty challenge. And give them space to plan at the table, and I promise, going back to that frickin' moose slide, they will surprise you. Come on. I don't want to talk about Palpatine anymore. I was so tilted by that. Part of the joy of running this game is dealing with what the consequences of the session are, because it should get you excited for preparing for the next session. And when the players fail, let them feel it, but allow them to fail forward in a way, There's always something positive that can come out of this. I admittedly did not anticipate a lot of the players' actions when I designed a really hard encounter for what I was perceived to be like the end game boss of a 6-session arc that was then going to become a longer-term campaign. The players decided to split the party, and both encounters that I had created for this scenario were very difficult for the entire party, but they came out of it bloodied. None of them had died. The Queen of the Kingdom did, and the evil lord that they were trying to stop technically got away. But I told them after the session, I was like, listen, you have no idea how well you guys actually did in that. You got the best of the best of the worst outcomes, that you all lived to fight another day. Let them know that something good came out of it, even when they fail. And remember, of course, that you're the facilitator of the fun. Let your players drive the plot. Shaping your narrative around your players will help them not only engage with the game, but also build them up as people. And tabletop role-playing games are unpredictable. And that's why they resonate. Life is unpredictable. And the last pillar I want to talk about is impactful preparation in play. Using your preparation to make something unforgettable for the people that are at your table. So these are just things that learn through osmosis. When starting a new game or exploring a new area, try and think of some sort of a philosophical or a historical element that you would like to examine. from a different angle. It grounds your game a little bit in reality. This is something that is a popular starting point for anybody familiar with Brendan Lee Mulligan? Yeah. I love that man. In an interview, he was talking with the person, and he was like, yeah, no, I went to college for philosophy, and I use that shit all the time. You know, he approaches his campaign design with bigger ideas in mind that support his world building, and it mirrors reality. And I say, do it. I'm going to tell you about the map that I have there in a second. But your players' choices then carry some sort of moral uncertainty, and it can make them also feel very deeply connected to the narrative that you're building and their narrative identity. The picture that you see there is a map of a homebrew world that I made based off of New Jersey. Stop it. The whole thing. That is a map that I made on Incarnate by taking the city of Asbury Park and just making it look fantasy. But if you notice through the middle, that there is an area of desolation where there's some sort of an arcane rail system. My brother, whose character is from that town, grew up on what is the west side of the tracks, or the more densely populated, lower economic status area. And I told him when I was designing this city that I thought about the city of Philadelphia when they built this massive highway through the middle of the city and destroyed a lot of very prominent minority neighborhoods. And I took that into my world building, and I did this because I wanted to see how he would interact in the world, knowing that his character came from a lower socioeconomic status than the people on the upper side of the city, where his bardic college, the Stoned Pony, is. I'm so happy I got a chuckle out of that one. But making things feel deeply personal for your players helps shape the narrative. And that takes me to session 0. And I believe that starting with a really good session 0 will help you be set for success throughout the entire campaign. So the first thing that I believe you should do in a session 0 is establish a social contract. You know, understand what the conduct for play is, asking for consent of everybody that is there, and then agreeing to what content is being in the campaign. You know, what are the hard lines, the topics that should never come up in this campaign, and what topics will merely be alluded to. Before I ran professionally and before I started near exclusively running for friends, the games that I ran were for my family. And I will tell you what, to this day, I will never have any sort of graphic sexual scene occur because I was playing with my 12-year-old brother. Yeah. And I will always tell my people, if they start to get a little too flirty with me, that I'm uncomfortable, and I ask that we stop playing. That is one of my hard lines, is that does not find its way into my campaigns. So we establish what safety tools are available for our players. You know, there's one guy, he invented this system called the X card, where if somebody is not liking the content that is available or that is being presented, they throw up an X card, like just big old X, play stops immediately. Or somebody just exercises their right to say, hey, can we pause for a second and talk about this?
So like a safe word.
Exactly. The X card is a safe word, and so is that phrase.
I like this.
Thank you. And then, of course, in a session 0, potential character creation ideas are thrown around. You also can do potential character introductions if your players come ready with one. But then you get to learn what their individual character goals are so that you know what the overall party goals are, and then you can begin to shape your own campaign. And these goals are okay to change, but it should be talked about in a session 0 so that everybody is all on the same playing field. And if players do have secret goals or objectives in order to build drama or mystery, let them know that you can discuss it separately with them. If there's something that they don't want the rest of the party to know, You already established an open door policy. Come and talk to me. Also in a session 0, plan your initial encounters based off of the goals that your characters have established, not necessarily to oppose them, but think of potential obstacles. And then challenge them while you're building the early parts of this narrative, and it still allows you to remain flexible because, you know, things happen, things don't happen. And then build your villains. So this could be a single entity, could be an organization or a philosophy, capitalism, that your players, that revolves around your players' backstories or aligns with the theme that you've chosen. You know, think of motivations and goals for your villains, and they feel more real. Your players can choose to engage with whatever it is that this villainous entity is doing or not, but always in the back of your mind and in your world, let them continue to do their thing, because then when the players are realizing, oh, this town that we visited 2 weeks ago is suddenly overrun with undead, we probably should have done something about that. But it'll make your world feel really alive. And then when we get to weekly prep. So your campaign is going, everything's going great, and then you run out of the content that you generated from session 0. If preparation is like a vehicle, weekly prep is like the annual maintenance that you need to do to keep the whole thing running. And it helps keep things running smoothly. So prepare for your sessions in ways that allow you to improvise at the table. By liberating extraneous load on your working memory. So working memory is you can only hold about 6 to 7 chunks of mass information in your brain at any one time. And if you over-prepare, it'll put a load on that and it'll inhibit your ability to actually interact or role play with the people that are in front of you. By keeping that in mind and allowing yourself to prepare for the most, for the interaction portion of it, you can better focus on your players, what they're doing, react accordingly, and sticking with whatever goals you've established for your NPCs. So, boy, that came out weird, and I don't know how. So preparation that helps you improvise, you know, make sure that you have your available stat blocks on hand, you know locations and some details. Definitely maps. Maps are a great visual tool. Even if you're not presenting them to your players, you can keep it theater of the mind, but as long as you have something yourself that you can reference, all the more better. And then some clues, you know, here or there that they can discover along the way. And of course, the goals of your NPCs, good or bad. Scripted dialogue is not inherently bad. I love a big epic speech. You silly dog, you got me monologuing. As long as it does not interrupt the flow of play and remove your player's agency, go for it. But remember, keeping your players engaged and having that flow state of you interacting with them and them interacting with you, as long as you know the goals of your NPCs, you don't need scripted dialogue. You can interact with your players because you know what they're about. Did I hit the right button? Oh, yeah. Brendan Lee Mulligan, by the way, calls this process making toys, hence the little image down there. After your sessions, make sure that you're taking notes of major decisions and generally just write down a few points of what may or may not have happened. You know, what did the players do? Where are they going? Why? And keep in mind some of the NPCs that they've interacted with. And you also should write down which ones you have improvised, especially voices. And also the clues that they've uncovered. Make a note, you know, of potential consequences of them discovering that person, place, or thing that you've laid out in front of them. And at the beginning of the next session, have them recap what happened. This not only will keep them engaged, but it also kind of signals to you the things that they took away from the session, the things that weren't necessarily clear, and how you can get better at adjusting your messaging and make things clearer for them.
If I may.
Yeah.
I give my players inspiration for doing it.
Same.
It's a really good incentive.
It's a very good incentive. You know, inspiration or where's the Reverend Mother that just gave me the treats? Because if this is an in-person game and you're handing out like the trolleys, that'd be amazing. That's an idea I'm going to steal. But yes, thank you.
I'm using that.
Good, as you should. This isn't one of the pillars, but it's kind of like that fourth table that's really or the fourth leg on the table that's kind of wobbly, is addressing burnout and motivation loss. And these are strategies to recover. We're in the home stretch, people. Rekindling inspiration and motivation when you feel as though you lost it. So game master's block, similar to writer's block, is real. And sometimes we won't know what direction we want to take something. And of course, we're bored of brainstorming the mundane aspects of certain sessions. Remember, not everything is plot-centric, but adding tension or drama is a potential way to rekindle your excitement and your creative spark. Also, you can see what others are doing. Like, you can watch all of the Critical Role. You can watch all of Dimension 20. You can watch, I love these Instagram reels that people give you ideas for different things, but that'll only take you so far. Ultimately, you should learn to inspire yourself. It's just like, this scene is really boring. You know what it could use? A gun on the table. Let's just guns don't even exist in this world. Let's just do it. See what happens. There you go. Crossbow. A really good friend of mine said that, nothing is original. Everything is essentially the Epic of Gilgamesh. And I truly believe that. Don't pressure yourself to create something holistically original. Steal whatever you want. If you want Thanos to show up as the big bad evil guy for your campaign, who's to say that you can't do that? Yeah.
There was one game that I was playing with a friend, and I pitched them an idea for how to involve. I pitched them an idea that involved understanding the Chinese wuxing system, which was of elements.
Mm-hmm.
Which involves how there's 5 elements and they interact with each other in different ways. I pitched them as the idea of that, like flying with 7 sins and how they counteract with each other to make a weird, like, over hidden arc where like different characters are affiliated with different sins and they all fight each other.
Do you remember how I just said that steal things that you like? I'm stealing that. I'm letting you know I'm probably going to steal that. And that's awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was a great idea too.
It's a very good idea. The most important thing is that if you start to feel yourself not be motivated anymore, do something that excites you. I'll tell you, if I'm sitting there and I'm bored and I feel as though I'm stalling out, trying to be motivated to write something for a campaign because it's starting to feel as though I have to do it, I will take a moment and I will go and I will rewatch the section of Lord of the Rings: Return of the King where Theoden rides into battle on the Pelennor Fields, because that gets me going every time. Like I could conquer the world thanks to that man. But inevitably, we're all going to get burnout. It's going to happen. Or life is just going to get in the way, because no matter what, life is not going to stop punching. It's okay. I will be the first to tell you it's okay. Being a game master is inherently performative, and it can be very draining. And as we've established, you're human. That's what makes this whole thing beautiful. We collaborate in a safe space, and you should feel comfortable telling your players, I'm not ready for tonight. There's no explanation that needs to be required. There's nothing more than that. And unless they're willing to hear you out and for you to share more about what the situation is, it doesn't need to go beyond that. But just because you're not running a game doesn't mean that play needs to stop. you could offer to have somebody else in your play group, if they want that week or for a few weeks, to run something they would like to do. Give them a shot at being behind the screen, proverbially. Or you can play other board games, Jackbox, etc. Yeeth.
I was just going to say, like, for that, like, my sister and I have done campaigns, and whenever we're having, like, we can't really, like, we didn't get enough campaign, we'll just play tavern games or something.
That's what I'm talking about. So my friend Jim and I, we're in the same Thursday night play group. He was normally my game master, but after a while, like, he lost his job, his wife is pregnant, and he just felt life kind of creeping in. His time with the Army ended, and he was like, guys, I'm feeling really burnt out, and I don't know if I can run the session this week. And I told him, I was like, Jim, I don't mind running a couple of one-shots if it gives you a break. And truthfully, in those sessions, I've seen, not only did he actually get to play with his brother, who was kind of co-DMing with him as a character now, but like now we've gotten to an arrangement where we're alternating weeks with each other so that we keep each other from burning out and we pick each other up where the other one is needing it.
One of my groups does that too. We have a Pathfinder game and a D&D game that go on and on.
That's awesome. Don't pressure yourself, because I promise from experience you will resent it, and eventually you'll stop doing the things that you love and you'll forget why you loved them in the first place, and I don't want that for you. It sucks. So let's review. The heart of the tabletop role-playing hobby is the human experience. We're collaborating, connecting, and creating and sharing with the people that are around us. And those games allow us to feel a sense of autonomy and competency that we don't always get in our daily lives. And those sessions are great for group or self-exploration. And it's not about perfection or the ability to perform. To be a game master, you need to understand yourself, your players, focus on flexibility and meaningful interactions in a story crafted to be memorable, and ensuring that you create a safe space and support those people around you to grow, including yourself. That's all it takes. Special credits for today's presentation. I would like to name drop Matt Colville, DM Studios, because a lot of the content that I generated from today, from Iriad, Geek Therapeutics, DM Dave, Sly Flourish, also the book Proactive Role Playing, all of those people, to my friends who helped me prepare for this and whom I've played with, and of course Rule Zero Media. If you haven't checked it out in the Tabletop Hall, Chronicler is a new tabletop role-playing game that is available for you all to kind of go and examine. It's in the early stages, but I highly recommend it. But this is my presentation for today, but I'm not letting you all leave empty-handed. If you all would like to scan this QR code, this will give you the link to a Patreon. That is mine. It is free. And on that Patreon, you will find a PDF document that is a toolkit for the information you see before you, which is a quick reference guide for today's presentation, talking about the GM pillars for success, how to manage burnout, some recommended reading that I highly did, not only that was utilized for this particular panel, but that I've just read and it's helped me a lot in running my games. Prep templates for player goals, characters, making toys, generating those NPCs and organizations that you can embody them fully at your table. Session prep, campaign prep, post-campaign prep, and of course a session zero guideline. Everything that I discussed in this panel right there in an 11-page document for you all. And that's all I have for today. Damn, I'm good. I got 5 minutes. We got questions, or we have anything that anybody wants to say? How you doing? Oh, okay. How you doing?
You got democracy behind you.
I have.
The Ministry of Truth is watching.
That is the scariest thing you have ever said to me. You, sir. Yeah, I got. I'm going to get to you next. You're number 2.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the scariest thing for me about DMing is the idea of, without obviously railroading your party, how do you kind of just keep a hold of things when they just want to do random stuff? If you're in a tavern and you're like, oh yeah, no, you guys should probably talk to the bartender, but they're like, I don't know, can we just play craps till I get after this?
Screw it. Let them. They can play craps all they want. You want to know the cool thing? If they're staying in that tavern playing craps all day, that your BBEG is further advancing his plot without anybody interrupting him. And when they get up from the craps table, broke, because the house always wins, and realize that they're in a world of shit. No, pardon my French, but, let them. Whatever they want to do in that moment, let them do it. But remember, tabletop role-playing games, actions have consequences. It's a free space where you all can experiment with the consequences of actions. Let it happen. Don't railroading is. I have a mixed opinion on them, because I feel like in certain circumstances, it's like, yeah, you can guide your players to an area. You can't make them go. Don't ever make it seem as though they're losing their agency or their choice, because then they just will do whatever they can to throw it back at you. So if they want to sit at a table all day and play craps, let them play craps. There are some really good. The internet is a wonderful source of impromptu things, like on Reddit, of how to do things like that. Let them do it. That's what I said. You may add something to that, and then I'm going to get to you.
This is just very brief. First of all, one thing that again makes less work for you, because now you have your session that you prepared ready for next week whenever they want to
Yeah.
get around to talk to the bartender. But also, sometimes it's not a bad thing to just give them motivation. Like, you know your players, you know the characters, ideally you know what they kind of want. Give them a carrot on a stick, and if they bite for it, great. If they don't, don't. Some players do like more direction. You don't want them to feel railroaded, but it's okay to have tracks there as long as they don't see them or feel like they're completely constrained to them.
Yeah.
It's okay to have a path to follow even if they want to fuck around in the woods for a little bit.
Yeah. I know that you had your hand up, and I got you. What you got?
Just wondering if this is ever a good idea, because I'm more of the hands-on, I'll take people aside, get backstories, whatnot, so forth, because I developed over there, I just want to hear if it's a good idea, which is the roots, the branches, the leaves.
Yeah.
So the roots is the character's past, the branches what the character wants to do, the leaves is the outcome of those branches. Just don't know if it's a good idea or not to continue with that process or try something different.
Bro, whatever works for you, continue doing it. Like, I said at the very beginning of this thing, I don't have the answers. Whatever works for you, this stuff is more foundational than anything. And in all honesty, that's an awesome analogy for it. So yeah, continue doing whatever you're doing. If it's working at your table, stick with it. Is it working for you in your prep?
I mean, second campaign running through, everyone said it was good the first time around, so.
There you go. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So you remember earlier I said I'd talk about the thing about taking away the player's agency?
Yeah.
Well, what happened was I had this big chase session in one of my games, and then I evolved it because I was given too much prep time. So it turned into this chaotic mess where two spawners were spawning 1d4 plus 1 skeletons every turn that were rainbow colored, having different abilities depending on the color that came out. The green ones knew 2 abilities, couldn't do anything else. Counterspell and silvery barbs. But they could only cast one of them per turn once.
Honestly, that's all they needed.
And apparently, most of the counter spells went to my fiance, who was not happy with me, and now says he hates the color green.
How big was the room?
Wow.
What?
How big was the room they were? Did they get out of
They
the
were
room?
on top of a moving cart, and they were having to balance out protecting the different crystals that the enemy skeletons were trying to kill, while the Gashinakado was trying to also absolutely smash down the cart behind them and keep the driver from being murdered.
Sit.
Someone out of rage.
Sit.
It was a 7-hour real-time battle.
Oh.
I play Risk. That ain't long at all. So, damn.
I've been asking for a big combat session. They got it.
They got it for sure. But it was a learning moment, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do plan on having the Rainbow Skeleton Hit Squad coming back at some point as, quote, perfected by one of the Heavenly Generals in the campaign. Because the idea is that these were the unperfected ones.
Canonically, I have a question about the Rainbow Skeleton Hit Squad. Are they just dead Power Rangers?
That's what they're going to be. They're going to be more like a Ginyu Force. The idea is that what they currently are dealing with is one of Strahd's bride, it's technically Curse of Strahd, is a mad scientist who keeps modifying the different undead found in Barovia to his own needs. And this is supposed to be a preview of, this guy's a problem, you need to take him out. But also, if they take him out, it'll cause the other brides to freak out, which will cause them to start powering up what they can do. So it's a choose-your-own adventure of, you have 4 paths here of different brides to go after before you go after Strahd, but any one you go after will cause the other 3 to freak out and become harder.
Jeez. I've got. That was a lot.
Yeah.
This. I'm getting stressed out vicariously. I got time for one more. And then here's the thing. Anybody who wants to come and talk afterwards, the entire weekend, at one point or another, even if you just want to bullshit, play Magic, or sit down with a game this weekend, I'll be at the Rules Zero Chronicler table all weekend. But I got one more.
All right, so question for you. I have a bunch of friends who, thanks to a little game called Baldur's Gate 3,
Love it. No comment.
been playing D&D for the first time, so I said to them, okay, you know what? I've DM'd before. I'll run a short little one-shot. Do you have any advice for introducing people who have never really played before but have their own mindset of what D&D should be?
Ask them what kind of character they would like to play. Have them come to the table with you giving them pre-made characters, a little backstory on them, give them some motivation, and tell them what the situation is, and let it ride from there.
Sounds good.
That is the best way, I think, with new players. But again, there are a lot of really good single-page documents on letting them know how 5e combat works and how the system works. You can send them those way, or for those who are audio-visual learners, there's also like 5-minute videos on how to actually play. But if you're going that route, you could go that route. But I will say this because I know he will kill me if I don't. There are other TTRPGs besides Dungeons & Dragons. Please feel free to look around at all of them. And I actually recommend, too, don't jump into D&D 5e right away if you can help it. There are some really good, like one-shot-ish, rules-light role-playing games like Last Flight of the Pandora that you can get them used to the idea of role-playing first. And it's a very mechanics and rules-light game. Try something like that maybe to get the feet wet, and then if they want to commit to something a little bit bigger, like a 5e one-shot, then do that.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to share quickly a funny thing that you mentioned Star Wars earlier, because it was Knights of the Old Republic. That was my first interaction with any sort of D&D system.
Saddest truth of my life is I still need to play KOTOR. I know. I will get to it, I promise. But
The Switch version, you can use the debug menu to make it so your walking speed is faster. That doesn't affect anything else besides how fast you go from point A to point B on the open world.
Gotcha. Thank you for the thing. You've all been wonderful. Thank you for coming today.